Hello guys, I am back from another video and today we talk about Deku was a animatronic. So, in the last video Deku, after Izuku basically woke up, Aizawa starts leaving for his work at the um, Quirk Advisors, like the Hero Advisors Bureau basically, as Izuku cleaned up the apartment by scrubbing up all of the, dirty dishes and cleaned up the bathroom, which was dirty, like really dirty. And Izuku rummaged through his, like, little basement and sees that he had, like several pictures of him back in the day and sees that, he used to be happy, basically. And apparently, back in the day, he had a mother, but she unfortunately died. And that's the reason why Aizawa acts so, grumpy. So, after seeing that, Izuku started leaving as Izuku sees Aizawa finally gonna get some sleep as the next day comes as they decide to go and get their groceries. So, after looking around, they see Kami Woods and Mount Lady basically taking down a villain as after she did that, she looked over and sees Aizawa. So, after that, they were brought to a restaurant where they can, talk about how Izuku was in the care of Aizawa, but they remembered about, like, a old incident back in the day where, you know, in typical Mount Lady fashion, she tried to, the kids. So, that is why, basically, why Aizawa absolutely hates her. For that reason. So, yeah, basically, after that interaction, they go back home. As for Izuku, he goes to sleep, as Aizawa goes to sleep on his bed. So, that's basically what happened last episode. And so, let's talk about what happens next. So, Izuku came back to school with Aizawa. Aizawa starts bringing him to class as they see several fireworks come out of the distance. By the way, instead of like in the morning in the sports festival, instead it's almost like late night. Because they wanted to add fireworks, so why not? Even though in actual, actual sports festivals in Japan, it doesn't work like that. But just imagine it is. After all, this world has quirks, which is basically just like superpowers. So, it's basically nighttime as I'm excited to see the UA Sports Festival as Izuku is not participating because, he's basically a ghost. And also because of his, mechanical animatronic body, he's basically the most overpowered character in the world, or in this series. Because, the animatronic body is basically like a super suit or like the Iron Man suit, but, disheveled and looks like some sort of like fan creation from like a fan game. Anyway, Izuku's animatronic body was brought to a little area, which is where the heroes, mostly, the teachers, stay. As the teachers arrive, they say this. So Izuku's not joining? As All Might says this. Obviously. Besides, if he were to join, it would be terrifying for the rest of the audience. As for, Vlad King, he says this. Okay, let's just get some rest. And let's watch. So, the first event starts as it's a simple, race. The race starts as everybody started going to the races as they started going off into different directions. So, wait for a second. So, everybody was, frozen because of Todoroki. As for Bakugo, he starts going off and starts, trying to race, basically go forward or go as fast as, ever. As for Reiko, she just, just goes and, what do you actually call it? Reiko just basically goes through the ice and starts flying off. Izuku, while watching it, says that, Reiko is after all a ghost quirk user, as Izuku thought it was interesting. As for the rest of the people, they basically get out of the ice pretty easily, except for the ones that are pretty much have, supporting quirks, like for example, healing quirks or anything like that. So, While Izuku was watching this, Izuku sees some interesting people joining in. And these people are not really, participating. These people, well, they had weird looking. Actually, not really weird looking. They more like they have like three of them specifically. They had like purple eyes, which was weird to him. So after the first event was won, Bakugo became first, Todoroki becoming second, and Reiko becoming third. So many people started getting ready to fight Bakugo. As for Bakugo, he didn't want to let anybody join his team because he believes that he's better than everybody else. So obviously, Bakugo got defeated pretty easily, and he lost his status to Reiko. So, the final event is pretty simple. It's the one-on-one battles. And the one-on-one battles start as the heroes, specifically the teachers, announce that they're going to be having a brand new participant. This participant was Izuku. As Izuku just says this, "Wait, Aizawa, why am I joining? I'm supposed to be," as he says this. Apparently Mr. Nezu decided to do this because, it'll be entertaining. And besides, if you win, don't worry, somebody else will get the internship thing. But for you, you're just going to participate in it just because. But if you actually win, you will get some benefits. As Izuku just says this. Wait, really? As Nezu just looks over and says this. Yeah, as Izuku looks behind him and sees Nezu with two people. These two people were some like bodyguards with the typical like sunglasses and um, you know, like, wait for a second, like black suits. As he says this, "Come on, Izuku. And don't worry, you're just gonna keep your weapon, but don't kill anybody with that." As Izuku just says this. "Oh, okay." So, when everybody saw Izuku, everybody thought it was weird. As one of them said this. "Hey, why is a freaking 8-year-old here?" As Izuku just says this. "I'm 15. As they thought it was kind of hilarious that Izuku would ever join the heroes. Because Izuku looks pretty weak. But they see that he's floating off the ground, so they think he has some sort of like flying quirk. So, the first match was held as Izuku, instead of fighting, Shinso, Izuku is going to be fighting against Ibara. So, Ibara says this. "It's time to pay for your sins, child." As Izuku just says this. Wait. My sins? I didn't cause any sin. She says this. "Alright, take this. Crucifixion." And yes, I did say that. And in the actual manga, she's like she uses several different types of religious type like attacks named after like religious things, like for example crucifixion and things like that. And by the way, I heard that the manga is about to end soon, so yeah, I might be changing my content if the manga finally ends or if the anime ends. So if anybody wants suggesting like any other types of content, just comment down below. So she starts using her crucifixion attack as Izuku just phases through it. Except for his axe. His axe just basically gets off of his hands as Izuku just says this. "God dang it." As Ibara just says this. "Wait a minute. You have a similar quirk to Reiko?" As Izuku just says that. Izuku just says this. "Yeah. I mean, it was pretty obvious." As she says this. "Ugh, take this." As she starts using her vine-like hair to start slashing at Izuku, but it doesn't work for, nothing. Izuku just grabs his axe and just throws it at her hair, causing it to basically become shortened. As she says this. "My hair! Why did you do that?" As Izuku just says this. "Oh, come on. Besides, don't worry, it won't kill you." As Izuku just levitates his axe and just brings it back to him. Everybody was shocked that Izuku is able to levitate objects. as Izuku just says this. Now for your hair. Izuku starts wrapping, well, Ibara's hair all over her body, causing her to lose and fall down, making Izuku the winner, I meant. So, after Izuku does that, Izuku starts going back to the, um, wait for a sec, to the resting room or to the locker rooms, I meant. So, Izuku gets there as Izuku sees a little conference, a little fight between, you know, Mr. Icy Hot, aka, um, sorry about that, wait, Todoroki, and his father, Endeavor. And let's just say the fight was pretty terrifying. Izuku sees this as apparently they're fighting against like each other because, Shoto is not using his fire side. Izuku just not dealing with this. As Izuku just goes through the wall, except for his axe, which causes a loud sound. But Izuku just says, "Oh crap, 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 crap." As Izuku tries to get his axe in, Izuku just uses a bit of force, which causes the wall to have a hole. Well, Izuku just says this. Oh crap. As one of them, being Shoto, says this. I think I might have heard something. As Endeavor just says this. Do not dodge the question, Shoto. So, after Izuku just does that, Izuku just says this. Oh shit. So, Izuku starts, changing his clothes a little bit. Even though he's technically a ghost, Izuku needs to change his clothes regularly. And, by the way, he doesn't need to take a bath. He basically cannot, get dirty or, like, every time when people smell him, it just smells like rosemary or something, I don't know. He basically smells like roses, so he doesn't need to take a bath or anything. So, after Izuku changes his clothes, and by the way, his clothes does need to be changed because, they're technically like a physical thing. Even the clothes that I gave him right here, this one, is still pretty much, regular clothes. So he basically needs to change as well, these clothes. So, after Izuku just does that, Izuku sees Bakugo getting a little bit angry at the last event, as Bakugo said this. Ugh, what is it, nerd? What are you looking at me? As Izuku just says this. Well, you seem a bit mad. As he says this. Oh, hell yeah, I'm mad. I can't believe that bitch actually beat me down. As Izuku just says this. I mean, yeah, it's your fault for being a bit cocky. As he says this. Duh, whatever. Just do whatever the hell you want, you damn nerd. So, after Izuku saw Bakugo again, Izuku just says this. Anyway. So, the next match comes up as it's the match between Izuku versus Todoroki. Todoroki says this. So, I can't wait to beat you down and show my father how strong I am without his quirk. As Izuku just says this. Okay, whatever. Come on, let's fight. As the match starts, Todoroki starts using his ice side, which Izuku just says this. You seriously forgotten. As Izuku just goes through the ice like it's nothing. As Shoto just says this. Wait, what are you doing? How are you able... As Izuku just says this. Remember, I am able to permeate through walls and any other objects. I'm basically a freaking ghost. As Izuku makes him just turns off his going through objects thing and just kicks him right in the nuts. As every single boy in the stadium just says, oof. As Todoroki says this, that was uncalled for. As Izuku just, anyway, take this. Izuku just slaps him, sometimes just slapping him. Just just keeps slapping him right in the face and just says this: Shoto, just use your god dang fire side. And besides, it's not your father's quirk, it's your quirk. As, while Shoto was hearing this, he says this: I had enough, as he starts using more of his ice side. So, the more he uses his, ice side, the more he gets hypothermia. Which, if you don't know, which is basically dying from low heat. Wait for a second. As Izuku just says this: Hey, Todoroki, if you keep using your ice side more, you'll probably might die from hypothermia. As he says this: I don't care. As he starts using more of his ice side, as the effects of hypothermia started kicking in, his body starts feeling a little bit more colder. As Izuku just says this: Told ya. As Izuku just says this: Todoroki, I don't want to fight you, but please stop. You're going to kill yourself, and that would be dumb. Sorry about that. Wait for a second. Sorry about that. So, Shoto's keep using his, eyesight, which Shoto feels more of the effects of hypothermia as he starts coughing off, like shards of ice. As Izuku just says this: Todoroki, I won't fight you anymore. Like, seriously. You look like the type of person that would die if you get, a glass of, like, ice water or something. As he says this: I said, shut. As Todoroki feels tired and falls to the ground. As everybody started, saying, what the heck happened? As Izuku just says this: Hey, is anybody a doctor? Can you bring him to the hospital immediately? Because it seems that he kind of uses ice quirk too much. So, some paramedics arrived as they basically bring him back to the hospital. Bringing him to the hospital because, he used too much of his ice quirk. So, wait for a second. Endeavor arrived as he thanks Izuku for helping his son, as Izuku just says this: Don't worry, and besides, he's, kind of an idiot. As he says this: I mean, I agree, but you kind of insulted my son a little bit. As Izuku just says this: Anyway, you should go back to your son. He might be, in trouble. As he says this: Oh, thank you. So, after he left, the winner of the match was defaulted by Izuku because, Shoto basically got in hypothermia. So, the final match is between Izuku and another person. This person is a foreigner. She's from, wait for a second, New York. As she calls herself, wait for a second again. This person was named Vanessa. As Izuku just says this: Wait, Vanessa? Never heard of her. As one of them said this: Yeah, what class is she from? As they don't see any class that she's associated with. As they say this: Weird. The audience was also weirded out, including the UA staff, because they didn't remember a person named, Vanessa. And it's not helping that she doesn't have a last name. The reason why is because you'll probably know after this part. So, Izuku comes up to the field as Izuku sees Vanessa. Vanessa, she has large claws. These claws were like sharp as knives, as she says this: Call me Vanessa. Vanessa, wait for a second. Vanessa, actually I don't remember my last name. Anyway, allow me to show you my quirk. It's called nails. As her nails started growing and creating like knife-like nails, as she says this: It allows me to create my nails even more sharper than diamonds, but I can also dull them down to maybe like a blunt instrument. Instrument. As Izuku just says this: Really? So, well then, let's fight. As the match starts, as she says this. But sorry, but I'm not here to fight. I'm here for your true body. As several people, mostly people in the crowd, started having their eyes turned into a purplish, like a purplish, dark purple type color, as all of them started going down to the field, as Izuku just says this. What is this? As she says this. Well, we here because of your involvement. Involvement with our founder, William Afton. Our Lord and Savior. And my name is not Vanessa anymore. You can call me Vanny. As one of them being a person that's wielding like a what do you call it? A briefcase, as she starts getting engulfed in this almost dark like mist. Her body changes, resembling a white rabbit a white rabbit costume that's crudely made. Similar to Izuku's costume, or should I say his animatronic body. She wields a knife instead of her claws, as she says this. We're here to have you, to give to our master, William Afton. William Afton said if we get you, we would be rewarded for whatever wishes we wanted, and we're here to kill you. As Izuku remembers William Afton, as Izuku just says this, you're involved with William Afton? As she says this, yes, and we know that your special ability is to transfer yourself into this almost monster-like state, right? So, try and kill us. It won't make a difference. After all, William Afton is after all a businessman, and his creations are absolutely deadly. And I can't wait for you to meet them, and become one of them. So, we end the episode right there. So, yeah, really sorry, but unfortunately, this is going to be a cliffhanger. So, I hope you liked the video, comment, and subscribe, and I hope to see you guys next time. Bye-bye!